First, a really weird part about PoE 2 is classes and actual character creation. When you're creating your character, you will have option to pick different classes. And if you played at least one RPG game in your life, then you probably assume that, for example, a ranger will be a range class that will use bow. And while we got basic information on classes, with little showcase of their abilities, in reality it's nothing. And technically your class is pretty much least important choice you will make. When you're creating character and choosing your name, important choice is to actually pick correct league, and there's loads of them. There's completely no reason to pick standard as your first league. Always create character in most recent league. Right now it will be Abyss. Now, what to choose, hardcore or standard? You can choose whatever you like, but if you're starting out, you probably will die, and if you die in hardcore, your character will migrate in standard mode of current league, so there will be hardcore Abyss, standard Abyss. Should you play solo self-found? Well, again, there is completely no reason to do it. If you're playing normal league, you will be able to trade with other players. But if you choose solo self-found, you won't be able to trade ever. But do you need to trade with other players if you're playing in standard? No, and you get no benefits when you're playing solo self-found. So definitely if you're just starting out, just pick normal league and that's it. Your character will determine only your starting position on passive skill tree. However, it doesn't mean you can't go into different parts of this skill tree and get points over there. In passive skill tree you will get different bonuses, and while they are more or less adapted for your current class, for example, if I'm playing mercenary, I want to play with crossbows. Crossbow is two-handed weapon, and there's nodes that will increase damage with two-handed weapons. If I would choose warrior, I would start over here, and with just investment of few levels, I can easily get to these nodes and get extra damage with two-handed weapons also. It's really important that your first class is also determined your ascendancy. And that's probably the biggest problem in the game, because game does not tell you what ascendancies is available for your class and how they will shape your build. That's why it's nice to watch some build guides if you're starting out, or at least visiting Wikipedia and learning what ascendancies is available for your preferred class. Now, what is really important is your weapon, and that's the fun part. While equipment will have different attributes that will be required, for example, crossbows require strength and dexterity to use them. With help of passive skill tree, you can get enough dexterity and strength as any character. So technically you may use crossbow as any character, and that's why weapons are so important, because weapons will give you access to skills, and skills are tied to certain weapons. So you can't use any bow skills with crossbow. It's just not possible. To make skills, you will find uncut skill gems throughout your journey, and by using them, you can create skills that you will need to equip into skill inventory. Every skill will have bunch of sockets. These sockets used to increase power of your skill, and to fill these sockets you need uncut support gem. Also you will find bunch of them on your journey. This is really big tip. When you try to look what support gems to use on your skill, you will be advised to use bunch of them over here. However, you can use actually a lot more. There is checkbox over here on PC, and on controller you just need to press correct button and you will see everything you may drop on this gem. Yeah, on skill gem of course. This means basically before picking your class, actually you need to decide what skill you like. Therefore you will understand what weapon you will need, and then try to find out what ascendancy will give you most benefits and what class. There's little exception, however, elemental and occult skills. These two categories of skills actually can be used without a weapon, so you don't need a weapon to cast them, because this is basically spells, it's not skills. And for example, to understand how to pick your ascendancy, let's say you want to play Spark, you just like this lightning skill. Every skill will have tags, and Spark will have spell, projectile, lightning and duration tag. Does this mean you need to play Sorceress to play Spark? Well, not, because for example a Ranger with Deadeye ascendancy got nice bonuses to projectile. Projectiles will have more speed, more damage and bunch of other fun additions. Still, game is pretty complex, so for your first build I actually recommend you sticking with build guide, at least for leveling part of the game, when you're just starting out and not in the end game yet. Well, it's nice time to actually transition into leveling part. Leveling is also pretty weird in this game. In some RPG games, if you go to higher level areas, you will get more experience. In PoE 2, there is actually penalty to your experience gain if you higher level than area or if you lower level than area. There's actually a formula for it, but to make it simple, you just need to stay 3 or 4 levels above or below area. So for example, if you're going into hunting grounds area right now and you are level 4, you want to get loads of experience. You will actually lose big chunk of experience. So it's more optimal to farm a little bit of previous areas like Cemetery of Eternals, level 7 area. And when you're level 7, it's nice time to go to hunting grounds. But if you are new, and I assume you're kinda new to Path of Exile if you're watching this video, probably you want to stay ahead of area level, because with every level you will get passive skill points that you can spend on your passive skill tree and get more damage, get more armor, basically make game easier for you. And here's the tip. Normally you go into area, clear it and go to the next one. However, every area can be replayed. If you're playing on controller, you just need to press and hold button to show options. If you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you just need to hold shift and then click left mouse button or movement button, and you will be prompted with option to create new instance. You can create new instance, all monsters will be revived, as well as bosses in this area. So you can replay this zone as much as you wish and get valuable items from bosses. But when you defeat some bosses for the first time, you will see green items. These green items is actually permanent buffs. You need to make sure to get them all. Therefore, I really advise you to check and make sure you're getting all the valuables in each area. To do it, you just need to go into area on your map and check surroundings. You will see a bunch of objectives like Bramblegast, and this is boss. After you defeat the boss and get some loot from him, he will be checked basically over here. But Witch Hut for me in this zone is still not cleared. This means I may miss some important items, permanent buffs, or just really powerful upgrades that will help on my journey. So I went back to the area and found Witch Hut. After opening Cauldron, I will get my medium mana flask and life flask, and I will see that this objective is completed. Of course, I don't need these mana flasks right now, I'm pretty powerful, and if you want to know every secret, especially valuable secret in the game, I'm completing my all 7 acts guide right now, and link will be in pinned comment. So technically now you understand that most important stuff is your weapon, skills that you will choose, and how you will upgrade the skill with support gem, how to get more options with support gem, and also how to advance through areas and never miss secrets. But how to upgrade your equipment and actually what equipment is in the game? Well, technically there is 3 types of base equipment. Every type of weapon will have its base. For this crossbow, for example, base will be Desolate Crossbow. But why it's called Pain Core Desolate Crossbow? Well, these names are achieved after we upgrade equipment or even get it by random drops. Initially every item will be white, but they can drop as blue items. Blue items is magic items, and the difference between blue and yellow is in amount of bonuses we got on item. Bonuses are split in 2 categories. They called affixes, and there's prefix and suffix. There's also implicit modifiers, and they are attached to your weapon base. For example, Desolate Crossbow does not have any implicit, while Flexed Crossbow will have implicit of increased bolt speed, and it always will be the case for every Flexed Crossbow. To start, you don't need to know exactly what prefixes and suffixes can roll on your weapon, but they are predetermined. For example, fire damage, extra fire damage like this, adds can roll only in prefix and only on weapons. Also on rings and on gloves, but it never can roll on helmets, on boots and other gear. It's nice to know when you're trying to craft your gear, and crafting in this game right now is more or less gambling, but it's nice to know because there's fixed amount of prefixes and suffixes. Technically there's only 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes in most cases, and while item is blue, it can have only 1 prefix and 1 suffix. It's important because our next topic is currency, and currency is actually loads of different stuff that you will get on your journey that you can apply to your weapons, or you can use it to trade with other players. For example, Orb of Transmutation will upgrade normal item to magic item with 1 modifier. You already know what is a normal item, which is basically white item, and it will give 1 modifier and will make item blue. It can be prefix or suffix. For example, you used 1 Orb of Transmutation and made this crossbow, which rolled +3 level to all projectile skills. It will be pretty good upgrade, especially for level 45 crossbow. Therefore, you may use next type of currency, which is Orb of Augmentation, and try to add good prefix to it. But let's say, for example, you rolled fire damage. Well, then probably you can even trash this crossbow and not use any currency, like Orb of Augmentation, because every roll will have tier. The highest number over here in tier, better. It's important to understand that every weapon will have some sort of required level, but most importantly, you need to analyze it more closely by holding Alt button or pressing button on controller, and you will see item level. Item level will determine how powerful these affixes can roll. With higher item level, you will have chance to roll higher affix. For example, item level 80 is almost maximum item level in the game right now. Actual maximum is 82 or 84 for some items. This got ability to roll all perfect tier 1 affix. So this crossbow got plus 39% to critical damage bonus. This means when you're trying to craft something, check your item level and make sure not to spend a lot of currency on items that is a low item level, especially when they lower than your character. But there's one more special type of items, it's unique items. They will have this orange brownish color. You will be really amazed when you find these unique items, because you think they are cool, and it's not always true. You need to see what actually benefits you will gain from each item, and some of them will be just straight out awful. For example, you may find gold ring that will lower your resistance, and that's bad, of course. If we're talking about resistance, let me quickly get basic ideation. You will have resistance to fire, cold and lightning resistance, and also chaos resistance. This three is elemental resistances, this one is separate, it's chaos, and to resist basic strikes you need armor. Armor will make the strikes to deal less damage, evasion, block to completely avoid attack, and also this new stat which called deflect that will give you ability to reduce incoming damage. As your basic HP bars, there is life of course, but also there is energy shield. They got separate sources of regeneration, so there is life regeneration, energy shield regeneration, but energy shield got a really big regeneration right from the get-go. That's something you need to understand. More or less you will use defensive items based on your position on skill tree. This is position on the screen right now. So if you're playing mercenary, you're on the bottom part, you probably will use strength and dexterity gear, and strength and dexterity will give you evasion and armor. So there's just some like extra information on top. But technically, that's everything you need to start playing and enjoying Path of Exile 2. Just pick your skill, run around, destroy monsters, have fun. Boss battles are just awesome in this game. Very intense with very good music, but funnily enough, campaign is only a small portion of the game. There's actually a big end game atlas and activities. If you're a beginner in Path of Exile 2, make sure to subscribe, because a lot of cool guides are coming. How to approach endgame and not mess up, and leveling guides is already in pinned comment. Make sure to check those and see you in the next videos.